All right, welcome College Chemistry. Today we're going to talk about what to do with your results from the lab that we did on percent sucrose of an unknown solution. So lab 1.4. So if you're watching this video, it's because you probably weren't in class. This is how you're going to make up and get what you need for graphing your data. So if you would go to, minimize this, go to Canvas. And you are going to scroll down to Unit 1 for College Chemistry. You're going to follow all the way down through density to where yesterday you entered the lab 1.4 data. Just under that, there should be a document there that says lab 1.4 density concentration data 21-22. You're going to click on that. And when that opens up, this is what you should see. You should see between all the college chem classes, all of the data we went through basically and did all the density calculations, and we found the averages. Top right corner here, you have a 5%, excuse me, 10%, 15, and 20. These are the class averages. And then we have an unknown of the 1.03. So what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to take this data right here. In fact, I'm going to highlight it and I'm going to copy it. And then now your job, and again, do not do the unknown in this copy. So you're going to highlight 5, 10, 15, 20, copy it. For some reason, it seems like it's not letting me copy all of that. That's right. Copy it. And then we're going to go to Excel. You need to go to Excel on your computer. It might take a minute to open up. If you don't have Excel, you need to make sure that you go and download it from self-serve. Just create a blank document. And what we're going to do is we're going to create we're going to make a little spreadsheet here of the data. So if I hit Command V, paste that data in that I just copied, that should give me the data that I actually want, 5, 10, 15%, and 20%. Notice again that I did not bring in my unknown percent because we're going to read that off a graph. Okay. The next thing you need to do is highlight that data. Okay. And then up at the top where it says Insert, you're going to click on Insert. And then right here in the middle has all kinds of options to insert. We're basically inserting a chart. You want to click on the scatter chart. What that's going to do is basically plot points for that data. Pick the first one far left up here. It's just going to put points for you. It doesn't connect lines. It just gives you the dots. Okay. And this should just show up right in the middle of your your spreadsheet. So we're going to work with this and we're going to make this look pretty. We're going to make this look like a good graph. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to add a title to it. You've got a couple options. This top left button, lots of places to do and add things. So we're going to add a chart title. We're going to have it above the chart. So right here, and you could also even click on it and highlight. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to say percent, or you can use the symbol percent sucrose of, actually, let's do density. Density is really on our y-axis. That's probably more appropriate. Put your y-axis variable first. Density, whoops, density of sucrose solution. Okay. I'm going to put my name on it. Here's the deal. We're not going to have you print to printers this year. We're going to have you save it, but I think it's probably good. Go ahead and put your name on it as, hey, this is yours. So save your name also in the title. The next thing we're going to do is we are going to label the X and Y axis. So go back to add chart element again, do axis titles. We're going to go to the horizontal first, the X axis. What is along the X axis? This is our sucrose concentration. So go ahead and add that. Okay. We're going to go now back to add chart element along the Y axis. So we're going to go axis title for the vertical. Sometimes it's hard to kind of read sideways, but we're going to go density of this one. I'm going to go ahead and put the units on there in parentheses, grams over milliliters. Put that in parentheses. Did I spell density right? Looks like I did. Okay. So we have that on there. Next thing is we're going to make this look really pretty like graph paper. Okay, so here's how you do that. You're still, if you by chance accidentally click off the graph, you're going to lose some of this toolbar up here. If I click over here, I'll lose it. So click, make sure you're on the graph up here at the top left. Again, grid lines. Right now, I have the primary major and horizontal lines, but I also want the minor lines. So if when I click on that, it actually puts more lines horizontally. Go back, do it again for the vertical, and voila, it looks like graph paper. Pretty cool, right? Okay, now I can kind of see that there's a trend to this. Okay, what we're going to do now is, excuse me, put a best fit line on it. So go back to add chart element, hit trend line. Okay, we're going to go more trend line options. When you click on that, you got a lot of potential things you could do over here. Generally speaking, I think we're going to be okay if we just choose linear, which it looks like it did for us. If you're in a physics class or another math class where you really want the slope of that line, there's a place along here you could display equation on chart, that kind of thing. We're not going to mess with that, but just know that that's there for you if you need to. If you know theoretically what the y-intercept could be, you could set that there if you wanted to. We're not going to mess with that. Okay, so close that, this little sidebar over here, and we've got a nice trend line on the graph. Okay, now we're going to make this graph a full page as its own page in Excel. So what I'm going to do, again, make sure you're on the graph itself. Where my screen is up here to the top right, it says move chart. I'm going to click on that, and that gives me an option to make my own new sheet or put it, make its own sheet or put it as a new sheet within this spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is click new sheet, hit OK. And what it's going to do is it's going to create its own new tab where it blows up the graph for you. And you have a nice looking graph here that's pretty big to kind of work with. If you need to zoom in a little bit, make it a little bit bigger, you can. Here's the next thing we're going to do. We have a nice trend line. Now we want to find our unknown concentration. So you might have to go back if you didn't write it down. I'm going to go back here and look at the data. The data tells me that our unknown was 1.03. So what we're going to do is we're going to back to Excel. We're going to figure out how to read our graph when the density is 1.03. What would the volume be? Okay, so you should know already from graphing skills, if I follow this 1.03 line over here, and then I follow it to the trend line, and then I come straight down, that could give me a good reading for what the percent of our unknown is. We're going to mark that. Okay. So instead of having you print this and mark it with colored pencils, we used to do that. We're going to actually put lines on this graph. And if you don't know how to do that, we're going to go back to home. I think it's, oh, sorry. Let me go back here. Let me find this. Format. We're going to hit the format button. Okay. At the top, hit format right next to chart design. And we're going to add some lines. Lines are considered a shape. So go to this little button up here and we are going to click on a line. Okay. And the next thing I'm going to do is I want to follow this 1.03. And so I'm going to move my cursor right on the 1.03. And then I'm going to drag horizontally. Boy, that did not line up on the 1.03, did it? So I need to move that around a little bit for some reason. That line did not like me. You know what? Let's do this. Let's undo it because something did not work. Right. Let's try this again. Format. Maybe it's because I zoomed in or something. Okay. Let's go to shape, insert shape. Let's go to lines. And I'm going to drag further across here. Hey, that actually worked this time. One thing you want to do is you want to drag across as best as you can, straight line, go past your trend line. Now this line is really hard to see, so I'm going to make it thicker. So if you go up here, you got a lot of options to change this. I'm going to make it red or kind of reddish orange. That's one thing you could do to it. You could do all kinds of things here with colors. You can make it thicker. Let's make it a little bit thicker. Let's go 3 point so we can really see it. Okay, click off of it. Now I'm going to insert another line vertically. So I'm going to go back to format, insert shape. Same thing. I'm going to pick the line. And what I want to do is I want to line this up the best I can where it crosses. Okay, and drag down. I don't think I nailed it. I think it's a little bit off. So here's what I'm going to do. First of all, I'm going to change the color like I did the last one. I'm going to make it that color. You can make it whatever color you want. Then I'm going to kind of move it over because I really want it to cross that trend line. That looks pretty good right there. Okay. There you go. Now you have it marked. Now, what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to read the graph. And if you need to zoom in, you can. Okay. But what you want to find out is what percent sucrose you think the unknown was. If the density is 1.03, read down. I see 10% here, 11%, 12%, 13, 14, and 15%. You need to follow sig figs. If the lines are marked 10, 11, 12, etc., you should be able to go to the tenths. So this is how you record what percent sucrose you have from your graph. Now, when you're finished, go up here to save as, because I really want you to save this and submit this. Go to save as. And the option here, scroll down to PDF. Okay, and go ahead and label this like, I'm going to label it as McDonald Lab 1.4 graph. Save it as a PDF file on your computer. Okay, and then when you go to submit the lab, you're going to want to submit the graph that you saved in PDF format, and then also the front and back of the lab sheet. Hope this helps. Please reach out if you still have questions.